Diesel, quite possibly, and I say the word possibly because it might be debatable, quite possibly the biggest trade in the history of the NBA, at least in quite some time over the weekend, as Luka Doncic headed to the LA Lakers, and we all know how Mavs fans loved Luka. That's where we're starting the show today. Here's how the Mavs fans reacted outside of the AAC. Diesel, they even went as far as bringing a casket to the front steps of the AAC. Mavs fans are upset, man. What a blockbuster trade in the NBA. That's where we're starting the show today. He is Diesel. I'm Cole Bryce, and welcome into Wire to Wire. Diesel, your initial thoughts? I have 1 or 100. There's not many trades that give me goosebumps when they happen. It's almost like you have to double check your phone to make sure it's not a gag. This was a big one.
My thought on paper is that, Luka is a phenomenal basketball player, but he's been out for a majority of this season. He's been unavailable with injuries. Everybody's talked about for years that he's a little bit of a chunky dude. He's not really taking his health and conditioning all that seriously because he's just really good at basketball, right? And even at his size, which again, I'm no NBA expert, but NBA experts talk about his size like it's a problem. Even at his size, when he's healthy, he is a dominant, really good basketball player. I just wonder, why LA would do this, considering that Anthony Davis is really good and is helping them right now, versus going after a guy that can help you in a couple of months if he gets his health right.
It's quite shocking. There are so many angles with this trade, Diesel. And Tolos, I want to hear from you. I want your reaction because Diesel just gave his. I'll give mine. I want to hear from you. T Swizzle on the YouTube stream already given his reaction. You can react at 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. You can call and text that number. You can also chime in on the YouTube stream, Twitter, and Facebook. 23 Tolos watching right now. Diesel, there's a lot of debate. When this happened, there's a lot of debate about who won the trade. We'll get into that. But my initial reaction is that the Dallas Mavericks gave up on Luka. They gave up on him. And to your point, about maybe him being a little chubby, he's had some of the same complaints that Zion had, right? Or still does, in terms of not really taking his weight serious, not taking his physical traits serious enough to actually make a difference when it comes to him being a valuable basketball player on the court. I don't know how much stock I put into that. However, I will tell you, my initial reaction, I was absolutely floored by this, absolutely shocked that the Dallas Mavericks were willing, Diesel, even with all the concern about him being out of shape, even with concern about his body type. This is their franchise guy. This is their guy.
AD is not going to be your franchise guy.
No, they were in the NBA Finals a season ago. The NBA Finals with Luka. And now you trade him off. And I have some audio from Nico Harrison. The fact that this deal, Diesel, I think what was most shocking to me is that this deal was done in the dark. This deal, nobody knew about it.
Yeah, Luka's dad is really unhappy about that. He's taken to the media multiple times to talk about how, this is not his phraseology. This is mine, that Luka was kind of railroaded, that this was all put together behind the scenes. But look, Cole, we're going to talk to Michael Duarte of NBC LA a little bit later on. These teams don't owe players the benefit of knowing every move they're trying to make before they make them. We've turned this into an era where the player has all of the power when it comes to their trades. They can demand a trade. They can act petulant and go get a trade. They get to pick and choose where they get traded to, blah, 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 blah. These guys are professional athletes. They're paid to play, and they're paid to play at a high level. And just like Major League Baseball, Cole, players can get dealt. It is what it is. The
business.
team doesn't need to get everything approved by the star.
Well, ultimately, the GM's the GM, right? The GM's the GM for the reason that they, have the full control, the full power, to your point.
What's the second word in GM stand for?
Manager.
The manager's prerogative of what players he wants on his team.
Yeah.
And if Luka is fat and unhappy in Dallas, why would he go through Luka to make sure Luka's okay with where they want to trade him? Nah, man. You're the one who's out of shape and unhappy. It's not my job to clear this with you first.
And it's not. Ultimately, it's shocking, but it's not. To your point, he is the general manager. T-Swizzle on the YouTube stream says, AD for Luka, hell no. WWW. T-Swizzle also says, I know y'all seen the guy that brought the casket to the arena. That was freaking hilarious. I want to hear from you, Tolos. 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. 3 texts to get to. But first, here's General Manager Nico Harrison on the Luka trade and what got Dallas to the point of moving on from Luka.
It wasn't really like a point. I think it was like, how do we make our team better? There's some unique things about his contract that we had to pay attention to. There's other teams that were loading up, that he was going to be able to decide make his own decision at some point of whether he wants to be here or not, whether we want to supermax him or not, or whether he wants to opt out. So I think we had to take all that into consideration and feel like we got out in front of what could have been a tumultuous summer.
They would have had to pay him. There's no doubt about it. However, I just think the heartbreak for Dallas fans, Diesel, is this is not just any other guy. Like, this is your franchise guy. There was so much love. Luka just bought a $15 million house. There was so much love between you and him, and he literally embraced the city of Dallas, Diesel, embraced the state of Texas. People like Patrick Mahomes became Dallas Maverick fans because of one player in Luka. I just don't know that we've ever seen this shocking of a trade. And to GM Nico Harrison's point, man, like, you know what? I think they saw what was coming contractually, Diesel. It still doesn't, even when you hear the reasoning, it still doesn't make you think, oh, well, this does make sense. It's wild.
I just question, do you think now LA is a championship contender with LeBron? And, well, we're going to see how unhealthy leg issues wise Luka really is, right? I mean, it's funny how those injuries just manifest when you're not happy with your contract. And I'm not saying that is or isn't the case here. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be interesting to see how quickly Luka and his leg heals and he gets out on the court and starts playing for Los Angeles. Because, I mean, now you got some decent pieces around you. Obviously, LeBron, you're on the same team with LeBron James. You are now a contender to make a run to the playoffs. I'd have to look up and see where the Lakers are in the Western Conference standings. They're sitting now in 5th place, 28-19, just 10 wins behind the Thunder. They're going to be a playoff contender and potentially a title race.
They are going to be potentially. And to answer your question, on the LA side, I think that this was a long-term move by Jeannie Buss. I think that Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss saw this as a long-term move, Diesel, to where that when LeBron James retires, which is coming soon, it's Luka's team. Luka's the superstar. LA gets superstars to come to their town. I can't think of a bigger trade. I can think back to Pau Gasol coming to join Kobe and then them going on to win championships. I don't know if that same thing happens with LeBron. I will say this. I don't think it's a win-now move for LA. I think it's a win-now move for Dallas, who needed a rim guy, a rim protector, a rim defender. Diesel now has Kyrie, AD, Klay Thompson on the outside. I think it's a win-now move for Dallas. The window, though, for Dallas is not as long as it was when you had Luka. I think the window for Dallas is a little bit shorter now because AD's up there in age, Kyrie's up there in age, and Klay Thompson is up there in age. But as far as LA goes, I think it's a long-term move. Now, will they be a lot better because they have Luka? Of course. He's arguably top 3 on the planet. But, Diesel, my concern is him and LeBron are both very ball dominant. They both want the ball in their hands. How they'll mesh together, it'll be interesting to see.
Well, if you can get those two guys to mesh well together, and LeBron has played with many other superstars in his day, right? I mean, he played with Dwayne Wade, he played with big time guys. If he can figure out a way, if they can say, look, I want the ball a lot, you want the ball a lot, what that does is it creates mismatches and creates, the ability for us both to shine and win games, right? What would you rather have here? Would you rather have the stats or would you rather have the titles, Cam Newton? We had that conversation last week. Cam would rather have the stats than the titles. So, we're going to see how this plays out in the future. T Swizzle said LeBron, Luka, and Bronny is must-see TV. Don't like Bron or Bronny, but can't deny it's must-see. Well, T Swizzle, the question is, how are you going to see it? Because they only put like 2 games a night on television. So it's sometimes you get to see it TV.
It's going to be must-see, man. It is going to be fun. I'm floored by it. Let's go to the reaction of the Tolos, though. Dewey, Billy Horn on the phone lines, the text line blowing up as well. We'll get to that. Dewey was up first. Dewey, you are on air. What's up?
Yes. I got only one thing to say. Luka Doncic is a petulant child anyways. All he did was win. The referees, they called fouls on me and win. And he got fat. He broke the rules. Now he's gone. Now he's trying to get over and talk about the Super Bowl. Luka's out of the way.
Yeah.
It's now his ball team. A lot of people were scared Luka wasn't going to sign his big max deal in the summertime anyway. Kyrie pushes him out. You get another big man to play the stretch 4 with Livingston and them in the paint. This is a dangerous team now.
Yeah.
5 years. My thing with the Lakers, we'll find out what the Lakers are really about come Thursday. If they get rid of Reeves or Hachimura, they're still in it to win now. If they don't, they're out.
But you can't get rid of Austin Reeves, though, Billy.
Hey, what are you going to do? Have 3 people that need the ball in their hands?
I don't know, man. He's too good. He's too good. He'd have to get a lot in return, man.
I agree, but that's going to be your argument. Do you keep Reeves and Luka? Do you try to move LeBron? Where are you going to go?
Yeah.
You can't afford all of them.
It's a great point.
So I'll listen to you off air, boys. You tell me what you think.
Thanks, Billy. I think he's Diesel. I think he's dead on about Kyrie being the winner because Kyrie now has a legit front court and AD and Derek Lively, who's one of the best. Derek Lively is going to thrive now with AD right there. It's just, I believe, Derek Lively's 3rd year in the NBA. That's going to be a dangerous team now, to Billy's point. I just don't know that going to the Lakers, I don't know if you can move off Austin Reeves, but I do think, to Billy's point, we do need to discuss, hey, Kyrie's the winner. Kyrie's the winner here because all of a sudden now it is his team. And Kyrie Irving he's proven, right? He's proven that he can go and win an NBA championship. It's just fascinating. There's so many angles, man.
Cole, the Mavericks sit 1 game out of playoff contention right now. Still 35, 38 some odd games left to go.
Yeah.
And we'll see how this team, obviously they've been without their star player for the last 2 months or so. Can the Mavericks really make a push? I mean, the Suns are sitting there just 1 game ahead of them at 25 and 23. The Mavericks are at 26 and 24. The Timberwolves are gettable. The Clippers and Lakers are gettable. I mean, just imagine, Cole, if Luka goes to LA, can't play for a while, and the Dallas Mavericks end up jumping the LA Lakers.
Yeah.
And so fans are, burning the Mavericks ownership in effigy for letting their star player go. But this may win them some more ball games and ultimately push them past their previous star.
I've got some more audio, but let's go to the text line, 844-FAN phone. Let's see. Going back to 9 minutes ago, texter says his weight is a smokescreen. Money is the deal. He can't get a Supermax anymore. Dallas didn't want to pay up. Philip, that was Philip who texted in. Appreciate the text, Philip. Texter says from the 431, and the Lakers need a true franchise player because baby Bron is done soon. So they got him, and the Lakers need and they got him, and Luka dragged the Mavs to the finals. Oh, that's a different text. Texter says Luka dragged the Mavs to the finals. Well, that just shows how good of a player he is, right? Did he drug them to the finals? 803. says, I show up fat and unhappy every day to work. Wish they trade me to the Lakers. Best text so far. Best text.
On the stream, Figueroa Tom says, do the Mavericks majority owners, who are casino owners as well, who can't get a casino in Texas legally, hope the team tanks in the future and move them to Las Vegas?
That's a heck of a theory, right?
Wow, Tom, not bad.
Heck of a theory.
I like it.
Yeah. Tyler text in 844 fan phone.
Would you rather be the only casino in Dallas, or would you rather be casino number 500 in Las Vegas?
I think the only casino in Dallas.
Yeah, right.
I think so. It'd be great.
There's no casinos in
Texas.
Dallas?
In Texas, no.
Texas, really?
No.
Not even on like reservation land?
No, you got to go all the way up to Oklahoma.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? You have to drive. Now it's only an hour from Dallas to Oklahoma. I wouldn't know, but
that's nothing.
They say, yeah, they say it's only an hour. Tyler texted in.
That's like here to Spartanburg on a bad day.
It is. People forget that Luka has been playing professional basketball since he was 16. He's past his prime. Good on Dallas. LA is where old stars go to die, Tyler. I can't agree with that. I can't agree that he's past his prime.
Wow.
He is still, last year in the NBA Finals, defensively, he's a liability. I'll agree with you there, but man, he is so good with that basketball in his hands.
Well, good news is, a lot of people go to LA and they shrink down, they get skinny, they start, doing a little something or having some procedures done, whatever it takes. If that's what it takes to get Luka skinny and out there on the court, fine. Put him under the spotlight.
Texter from the 978. Did Jerry Jones take over as GM of the Dallas Mavericks? Crazy NBA trade this weekend. Funny, rightfully so. Real quick before we run, here was this is from Fox 4 News in Dallas, the reaction of one Mavs fan.
There's no precedent for this in the history of the NBA, that you don't trade a 25-year-old MVP candidate in his prime for a 32-year-old made of glass and a single pick. We just went to the finals last year. It's not like we missed the playoffs. It's not like we lost in the first round. And they could win every game the rest of the season and win the championship, and it wouldn't really matter because all of the emotional value in that journey just got sucked away. What's inscribed on that statue over there, Dirk statue, says loyalty never fades away, and apparently that's only a one-way street. That only matters for the players because loyalty definitely faded away from the organization. They didn't hold up their end of the bargain. He was loyal and they weren't. So I guess that inscription doesn't really mean anything.
Look, regardless of how you feel, man, it was a blow. And I mean blow to the Dallas Mavericks fan. They did not see this coming. Diesel, I said to start the segment that I thought my biggest surprise was that Jason Kidd, the coach of the Mavericks, didn't even know about this trade. Here was GM Harrison, Nico Harrison, talking about that.
With any other teams besides the Lakers about this deal?
No, and I'd like to give Rob Pelinka a lot of credit. Trades, you guys have been around here. Trades don't happen at the smallest level without stuff getting out. And Rob and I were able to have, really intense conversations over the course of, 3 or 4 weeks that started out as a coffee that, was more, hey, would you ever, I don't know, would I? Let me think of, and then it built upon that. And, we kept it between us. We had to keep it tight. J Kidd didn't know about it. But J Kidd and I are aligned, and we talk about archetypes and we talk about the culture that we want to create. So I know the type of players that he likes without actually talking to him. Hey, would you like, so I know that. And J Kidd coached them when they won the championship. So I think when you're aligned with your coach like that, I know the type of players that he likes. And so I felt good about it making sense to where we're trying to go.
I don't think by Jason Kidd's facial expression, Diesel, the last thing I'll say, we'll revisit this later in the show. I don't know if Jason Kidd was thrilled about this because the look on his face, man, he never smiled. You just got Anthony Davis, right? One of the best defensive players in the NBA, never cracked a smile. This guy, he loved Luka. He did coach in LA when they won the championship a few years ago, but man, this is shocking. I think the last thing I'll say, I think Dallas is the immediate winner, Diesel. Immediately, I think they're the winner, but long term, I think the LA Lakers will get the last laugh.
Well, maybe Jason Kidd just believes that human beings should have 2 eyebrows. They should be separated in the middle.
That's bad.
They should be thin and look like not the way I used to draw birds when I was a little kid. That's how I did it. When we come back, Cole, you know comedian Bill Burr. He has some opinions on Super Bowl parties, whether they should even be a thing. Grumpy old man says, get off my lawn, but I think he's got a point. That conversation coming up next on the Fan Upstate. You know, Cole, I never really thought about when I go to a Super Bowl party to hang out and watch the game that I don't actually end up watching that much of the game. Like I thought I did, right? Like I thought, yeah, you know, I'm tuned in with everything. Yeah. I'm tuned in with the commercials. I'm tuned in with the halftime show. I'm tuned in with the game. I am immersed in all of it. But then I realized, oh man, sometimes you just miss the game almost with so much going on, with the commercials being such a huge part of it, the food being such a huge part of it. You got to get up and go to the bathroom and go back to the buffet line at some point. And a lot of times you end up doing that during the game, especially if your team isn't in the Super Bowl. Well, there's a clip, Cole, that tends to surface about this time every single year. It's comedian Bill Burr. He was on Conan and he still had hair. So this feels like this was a clip that's maybe like 10 years old.
Well, I'm glad you said that because I saw it this weekend, but I didn't know it was old. I had no idea. I thought it was recent, but it was funny.
So the question is, does Bill Burr, who is an ardent Patriots fan, by the way, and if this was 10 years ago, this had been, you know, recently after the Patriots dynasty was sort of coming to a close, or when it was still happening. Does Bill have a point? Here's Bill Burr on Conan explaining Super Bowl parties aren't for the hardcore football fans at all.
No Super Bowl party. No Super Bowl party. If you're a true football fan, you do not go to Super Bowl parties because it's all a bunch of losers who don't watch it all year. And what they do is they talk during the game and then they shut up during the commercial. And then the game comes back like, oh, how much do you think that one cost? Huh? That's funny. I thought that one stunk. And it's just like, the rage that goes through me through the game. And I just, end up fighting, with somebody.
So you just are opposed to them having a party in the middle of the Super Bowl, like, having a half.
Yeah, I don't like it. It's the most important game of the year. And they turned it into like this, I don't know what it is. I don't even know what it is anymore. It used to be like a little high school band came out. Yeah. Played a little song. Right. And then that was it. And now they just, shooting T-shirts into the crowd. I really sound like a grumpy old man, but I just want to watch the game.
Right.
I'm just going to be me sitting alone screaming at my TV.
Bill Burr makes the Super Bowl, the championship game for the NFL, sound like the Winston in NASCAR, the All-Star race, right? They turn it into something that a regular season game is not, right? Where there's constant stoppages, where there's commercials for every random.com or whatever, and it doesn't resemble the actual game of football.
You know what, though? Can anybody out there, can any listener, Diesel, can any Tolo say he was wrong? I mean, look,
exactly right.
We love parties. We love Super Bowl parties for, the social aspect, the food, the cocktail weenies, the pigs in a blanket, chicken wings, pizza. What else?
Burgers,
burgers, chips,
chili, dip, all that stuff.
Oh, cheese dip.
Yeah.
All of it. We love them. But is he actually wrong? I don't think so. I think, you know what, as I get older and older, I think I'm with him. I think I would rather
sit and watch it alone.
Maybe not alone, but maybe with one or two other people.
Well, I know that, some hosts who have previously been on this station before have said they watched the Super Bowl twice. Once is at the party with everything going on, right? Sure. The second time through is the next day to actually sit and watch and digest and dissect the actual football. So then you got it on TiVo or whatever, and you can fast forward through all the commercials that you've already seen that most of them weren't as good as people thought they were going to be.
True.
Or ones that had been revealed 2 weeks in advance. So, like, what's the point? I just wonder, Cole, there's always like 25 different ways to even watch the Super Bowl, right? Mm-hmm. You've got the regular over-the-air broadcast, and then there's the kids broadcast on Nickelodeon where players are getting slimed. You got the Homer broadcast. You got the camera that hangs over the field broadcast. You got the all 22. Yeah. You got so many different ways. Why isn't there just a broadcast for the hardcore football fans? Those who don't want to watch all the silly commercials, they just want to be fed their Bud Light and Dodge commercials like they are every single Sunday, and they just want to pay attention to the game. Why? Like, I understand that the game slows down a little bit in the Super Bowl because you've got longer commercial breaks. So why not spend that extra time breaking down film, having like hardcore commentary during that extra time?
So it's a great question. You know what I think the answer to your question is, a couple of days ago, was it last week, Tom in Somerville called in and complained about his wife making his birthday plans.
Yeah.
What, at 6:30,
Super Bowl
right?
Sunday, 6:30. Yeah.
Now, here's what I'm thinking, though. I'm thinking now that you're going through that in your head, because all the broadcast, I agree with you. And I'm thinking that maybe what Tom is doing might be the best way to do it. Go eat, right? Go have a dinner.
Yeah.
With your wife, friends, whatever. If you want to eat at your house, that's fine. Don't start watching the game until, let's call it 7:15, 7:30.
Yeah, you can fast forward through all the crap. And then afterwards, you can go back if you want to.
Yeah.
You can go back and focus on the commercials.
I think that might be the best way to do it. And I've never thought of that.
Ooh.
YouTube TV.
Yep.
You can fast forward.
Yeah.
I think that might be a really good idea. Go eat at your house. Don't watch it. Don't fall into the trap at 6:30. Don't turn it on until 7:30. And then the game will end what? You think it's a 3-hour? Well, it's longer. So
yeah, it's gonna take now 4 hours to play the game plus the commercials. It's an endeavor.
It is. And I'll tell you this. Do I laugh at funny commercials? Sure. I don't want to sit there and watch every commercial. I think that might be the way to do it.
Well, I like the fact now, Cole, that I'm not plugged into television anymore. So I'm not like I stream everything, and most everything is ad free. There's still a few apps that you can't get away from it from. But like I don't watch a lot of ads anymore. So good news is I'm not going to be exposed to all the companies that want to show their ad off before the Super Bowl, which doesn't make any sense.
Wait,
to me,
say
right?
that again.
So
you're
like,
not on traditional TV.
I don't have traditional TV.
Yeah.
I just do streaming.
Yeah.
And I use half a dozen or more apps.
Yeah.
Most of those apps are commercial free. So I'm not exposed to all the commercials anymore.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
People make a big deal out of your Super Bowl ad, which is, it's expensive to produce. It's expensive to get time during the Super Bowl. But haven't we seen so many of these advertisers spoil their ads and not even wait till the Super Bowl to even release them? They're putting them on social media. They're putting them on YouTube videos, all of the above. I mean, you're catching it from so many different directions. I think it's great because now I'm not going to get scooped. I'm not going to have all the funny commercials scooped by them being released early.
So what platform do you use to watch the game? Super Bowl.
Over the air.
Oh, local.
Yeah.
Local.
If it's on I've
7
got,
or 4, whatever it is.
I've got Fox over the air, and I've got CBS over the air. No,
which is 7,
NBC.
I think, right?
NBC, yeah.
Okay.
CBS is the only one that I don't have, which I use Paramount Plus to stream that. We just don't have a local affiliate for CBS.
I think the game comes on 7. So I think that's right.
Nice. See, I keep an antenna in my house. I know that people don't care about this, but I keep an antenna just in case the power goes out, or if there's something that's on live over the air TV.
So that's what you watch it on. Huh?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That is, you know what? This is a good question for the Tolos.
Because inevitably, as soon as you're ready to turn on and watch it, they will have like refreshed and reset your login. So you got to log back in, and you miss the first 5 minutes of it because you have to go back and re-log in.
What platform do you Tolos use to watch the Super Bowl? Let us know. 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. Because I didn't think about the end. I guess I'm just so freaking, far removed from an antenna that, YouTube TV. I forgot. Like, it's bad. I hate to say this. I forgot there's still such
over the air.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can still do that. I forget about that. I used to have an antenna.
Yeah, I keep it just for backup purposes only. If the power goes out or if the internet goes out, and power still has to be on for the TV to be on. But if the internet goes out, I can still catch some news over the air. That's what I was doing during the hurricane. I was able to still catch some information over the air. Just had to plug the TV into the generator, and I could watch stuff over the air.
Michael says on the text line, we have a whole basement with a wet bar and huge TV. Nice. Surround sound, etc., only used by the adults once a year.
Well, Bill Burr doesn't want you to do it. Bill Burr wants to take away your joy.
Michael, how many people, and that's another thing I want to know, we'll talk about this as the week goes on, how many people are there? Because I think to Bill Burr's point, Diesel, if it's, let's say 10, let's say, or let me drop it.
How many is too many to have at your Super Bowl party?
10? I think you got to go 8 or less. If you care about watching the game, once you get over 10, it's a freaking circus.
Well, and the truth is, the Super Bowl is an event for fans of all 32 teams, right? Yeah. Everybody comes together. Everybody watches it regardless of whether your team is in the game or not. And so, like, I get that if you're not a Chiefs fan, if you're not an Eagles fan, let's just say you're a Seahawks fan, you're still going to tune in and watch it, but you're not going to be probably not going to be as invested as you would if the Seahawks were in it. So you're just kind of like, it's just on. It's
on.
just there. You know, you're kind of paying attention to it. You're kind of not, because you're just there for the party.
You know what I have noticed at times something that I think I need to start doing a better job of. And by the way, Wesley Roberts is with me. He says on Facebook, he says, yeah, he's YouTube TV as well. What do you think about my 7:30 rule, Wesley? Starting it late so you can skip through the crap. I think Diesel. I think I've noticed more and more as you and I are on a sports show. We have 4 hours of content to fill every day. I think, like, I was watching a game a couple of weeks ago. I think it was the Bills Chiefs game, or maybe the Ravens Chiefs. I've seen more and more that I need to start, whether it's on my phone, like in the Notes app, or on an old-fashioned notebook. I need to start writing my thoughts down during the game. Because I'll tell you why. If the game's on Sunday, fast forward to Monday at 3:38, you and I are sitting here talking, I've forgotten the things that I wanted to talk about.
No, yeah, it's true.
It's hard.
I use Twitter a lot. Just like I'll just tweet out my thoughts.
And that's a good idea.
And I can go back and recapture what I thought was going on during the game. But it's hard. You really have to kind of write a lot of stuff down, especially when it's not your team and you're not like as emotionally invested in it. It's hard. You got to go back and take notes.
Wesley brings up a good point. He says, I like that idea, but you'll have to stay off your phone, which is true. You can't open social media.
That's hard.
Which is hard.
Because we all have like updates and alerts sent them to your watch, and you know, like, crap, I didn't want to know that so-and-so was leading at the end of the first quarter.
You're sitting there, you hadn't even watched it, and you found out because the ESPN app just alerted you that Patrick Mahomes blew his knee out in the first quarter.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you're in trouble. Listen to this. Michael and I don't know if this is Michael in Simpsonville or a different Michael. I asked him how many people, Diesel on the text line, 35 to 40.
Wow.
What?
He says he's running around all the time trying to keep all those people happy.
Michael, how do you watch the game?
I don't. If people are at my house for a party, I don't give a rip if they're happy or not.
35 to 40.
I'm like, this is a domesticated home. Whatever you're looking for, go find it yourself. I'm watching the game.
That's not a party, Diesel. That's a restaurant.
That's a riot.
35 to 40 people.
What are we running? A restaurant?
Who's buying the food? Who's buying the drinks?
Which Michael is this?
I don't think it's Michael in Simpsonville. Because
is this Michael Stathakis?
Oh, it is Michael in Simpsonville.
Oh, okay.
He does let us know on the text line, which is crazy. That is a lot of people.
I thought it was Michael Stathakis because he runs a restaurant.
He does.
So he would be the right guy to do it.
God, that's a lot. Texas
I don't want 30 to 45 people in my house. No way.
35 to 40 wouldn't fit in my part.
Yeah, we're watching it in the backyard. We're going to project it on the side of the house. We'll watch it in the yard.
Texter says, commercials. I'm in my 50s, and even I know to watch the commercials that are actually good on YouTube later when your show talks about which ones are actually funny. Good segment there, right? Good segment for next Monday as we rank the best commercials. Texter didn't leave his name from the 809. We will credit you. We'll write that down on our hand and rank. Well, here's the problem.
Yeah, but everybody's sense of humor is different. And there's some commercials that Cole might see that have him in stitches, and I'm staring at it like, why was this funny? And vice versa.
Or
you're going to let somebody else decide what's funny and tell you which ones you should go back and watch? Come on, man.
Nowadays, though, are there even enough? Like last year, I'm trying to think. Chiefs 49ers, are there actually even enough funny commercials nowadays?
No, because they're not allowed to be funny anymore. Yeah. It's all of the political correctness. They're not allowed to be funny. They're not allowed to be edgy. They're not allowed to push the envelope. No crude humor. Nothing. It's been so sanitized that they can't get away with saying the shocking thing that gets people to say, "Oh my God, I can't believe they did it in a Super Bowl commercial."
That's what I'm saying. I don't even know I don't even know if there would be enough funny content.
A long way away from thinking that the Budweiser frogs were the greatest thing ever and having it be an ad campaign that ran for years.
But we'll say this real quick. I do think Budweiser. I think when I look back at the last 5 to 8 years and think of best commercials, don't you think Budweiser? I do. I think
because they do a great job with humor and heartfelt.
The horses. Remember the horses?
Yeah, the Clydesdales. Great stuff.
My gosh.
I mean, they got to distract people from the fact that they pissed everybody off like 2 years ago with
That's
the Bud
right.
Light thing.
That's true.
And so they got to get everybody back into the fold.
I
So they
forgot about
got to put some fighter jets or some Clydesdale horses or something like that in there to make you forget that a year and a half ago you hated their guts.
Texter says by Sunday night there will be a 5-minute YouTube clip with every new commercial, maybe by halftime to watch instead of the horrible music show. Who is the music show, by the way?
Kendrick Lamar. And it's designed, y'all don't realize, and this is a whole nother can of worms, the Super Bowl halftime show isn't for us. It's not for dudes in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. It's for your daughters. It's
People
for
who
your
are
sons.
not normally watching.
It's to get people who wouldn't be watching because it's football to tune in and watch because it's a pop star that they like.
Why isn't
That's
Taylor
the whole
Swift
point.
doing it? She'll already be
She's
there.
busy. Busy up there
Wesley
in the
says we should do a bracket for the best Super Bowl dish. Not a bad idea for this Friday.
Interesting.
How about that?
There you go. When we come back, Cole, a major shocking story coming out of New Orleans, Louisiana, involving the Saints. Could this be a reason to force the ownership to sell the Saints? That's next on the Fan Upstate. I'm going to start this segment, Cole, with a very basic question. If the owner of an NFL team is revealed to have had a major part to play in the cover-up of sexual exploitation of minors, should the NFL and the other 31 owners force them to sell or even go so far as to force the team to move?
I think sell, not move.
Because that's what's happening right now in New Orleans. This is an article. This is an investigation that's been going on for years and years and years. But Associated Press just released this. It's on ESPN.com right now. And more information is coming out that New Orleans Saints higher-ups probably played a very large role in keeping the names of known predatory Catholic priests out of the media as this story got so huge about 6 or 7 years ago.
First question, is this the first time you've heard about this?
No, I've heard that the whole abusing of
the
kids
priest?
Priests, yeah, everybody remembers that story. I didn't know that Saints brass was so deeply tied in with this.
Forgot about that story. It feels like it's been 10 years ago. I had forgotten about that story. I'll say this. I think you do. I think there's enough here that you do have to say, hey, look, we want you to sell. I mean, there's no way, Diesel, you can think this is okay. I don't know, for an NFL ownership group.
I mean, the owner of the Clippers had to sell because he said racist things.
Yeah.
We've seen
Dan Snyder,
so many nasty situations where higher ups were deeply involved in some pretty nasty things. I don't understand how, if as this thing continues to develop, that we don't see a major change at the top with the New Orleans Saints. So it's been revealed, Cole, that the president of the team, Dennis Lucia, I don't know if I'm saying his name correct or not, was helping out the Archbishop of New Orleans. He was helping prepare him for questions that he was going to face for reporters. He was drafting a list of, hey, here's the things they're probably going to ask you. I want you to be prepared for this. He himself is a devout Catholic and didn't want to see the Catholic Church in New Orleans become, seen so negatively. So he was really trying hard, Cole, to keep certain names out of the public limelight, to try to help the Archbishop navigate the media storm that was coming. They lied to fans and assured them that only minimal assistance was provided to the church. This is bad.
Hey, Texter says, this is from the 419 Diesel. The text reads, that Saints owner died in 2018. His wife inherited the team. Doubt they can make the widow sell. I didn't know that. Thank you, Texter.
Well, it's still held by the same family. That's the point.
Yeah, 100%.
The point is the same family still owns this.
100%.
And Madcraft says this happened a few years ago. How is this new? It's a developing investigation, Madcraft. Like there are new things that we can't. We had 4 minutes to talk about this. We can't go into every single detail of the story, but there are new developments as this thing continues to come out. A couple of years ago, they denied having input on the names that were on the list of priests. That turns out to be a lie. I mean, this all feels like a really big conspiracy to cover up and to really lie to the people of New Orleans. And,
sad, man.
And this intersects with us, with football. And Cole, curious to know if you're Kellen Moore and you're seeing this story pop up again. That's what makes this new, Madcraft. If you're Kellen Moore, do you say, oh, no, there's some really nasty stuff going on in this organization down there. I don't want to have any part of this.
It makes you think about it, right? It definitely, if you're Kellen Moore, it definitely does make you think about it. So a lot of reaction on the thought that was brought up by Wesley Roberts with the Super Bowl sides. The text line has dinged a little bit about that. Michael, Buckeye Mike, a couple other texts. We'll get back to that. Maybe a segment idea for Thursday or Friday of this week. But on the other side, we react to the college basketball weekend that was. Diesel, I have some serious beef with the AP poll. I'll tell you what it is next. What else do you have to do, Diesel? What else has to be done? The latest AP poll came out earlier today. The top 25. I guess they need to expand it to the top 30, 35, 40, because the 17-4, 9-1 in the ACC, call me a homer, Clemson Tigers, once again find themselves on the outside looking in. Do they forget to include other ACC teams besides Duke, Diesel? Because if you go down the top 25, guess what? You can't find any freaking ACC teams. What else does Clemson basketball and Brad Brownell have to do here?
They got to start a media campaign. They need some TikTok dances. They need maybe some photos of the commissioner's wife. I don't know what they got to do to blackmail their way into the top 25, because it is ludicrous that team is sitting outside the top 25. But you know what I'm doing if I'm Brad Brownell? I am using the heck out of that.
Yeah.
I am at this point. I'm saying that don't even bother. Don't bother putting, because the playoff committee, the selection committee is gonna recognize our quality and they're gonna seed us highly. But for right now, I get to say we're the ultimate disrespected team in college basketball. They still don't think you're good enough. You guys have to have a chip on your shoulder.
Brad Brownell needs to go to Dabo Sweeney's office, knock on the door and say, look, where's your paperwork? Where's your pamphlet for the Roy bus? I need that pamphlet, because right now I believe Brad Brownell can, to your point, Diesel, use that for fuel. Not that they need it. They're unbelievable. They're a one-loss team in conference. The only loss they have is to a pretty good Louisville team. There's only one ACC team in the top 25. Put Clemson aside. Think about what I just said, Diesel. Welcome to 2025. There's one ACC team in the top 25. That is mind-boggling. One.
Yeah.
The ACC used to run the sport. One ACC team in the top 25. It's Duke. They're number 2. Auburn, deservedly so, number 1. I just don't understand this, man. What else? You've won, 5, 6 in a row now? You've got Duke. You have to beat Duke in order to get in the top 25.
Well, they're on Tuesday, tomorrow night. They're taking on Georgia Tech at home at 9:00. I think, Cole, if Clemson wins that game convincingly, they'll put them inside the top 25 just so that they can say that Saturday's matchup against Duke is a top 25 matchup.
And Georgia Tech's a middle-of-the-road team. It's still a big game at home, because
it shouldn't mean that much, but selection committees do weird things.
You know what's crazy about it? Think about it like this. To your point, it shouldn't be a big game, but it's a huge game for Clemson tomorrow night. It's a huge game. Georgia Tech, you say, well, Georgia Tech's only 10-12. They're 4-7 in the ACC, and the ACC sucks. It's a huge game. Does the committee that's going to place teams in and out of the college basketball tournament, Diesel, do they weigh the top 25 more than they should? Do they not weigh it enough? If you're Clemson, you hope they don't weigh it enough, because you haven't been in the top 25 much of the season. This is a travesty. To Kane's point on the YouTube stream, it is a joke that this team is – you've won 6 in a row.
It hurts them, though, that the ACC is so down bad, right? It hurts that you got a lot of teams hovering around 500, barely above it or way below it. I mean, you've got a lot of quad 2, 3, and 4 teams. There's not a lot of quad 1 teams and quad 1 games. We had that conversation last week with I think it was Jordan K. We were talking about that. There's not a lot of opportunities in the ACC right now to get quality wins. You can't use the quad system to help you out a whole lot, because even if you get wins against quad 2 teams or quad 3 teams, they look at it and they don't care. They don't care about your wins over them. They just care about if you lose to them.
I don't understand, though, because to T. Swizzle's point, they come out with the AP on Mondays. So let's say you beat Georgia Tech. Then you turn around, let's say Saturday you lose to Duke. The following Monday, after a win over a middle-of-the-road Georgia Tech team and a loss to Duke, the number 2 team in the country, do you really feel good about what's going to happen? Because I think that's what happens. Can Clemson hang with Duke? I think they can. Are they going to beat them? I don't think so. Diesel, I think they beat Georgia Tech tomorrow night. I think they turn around and lose to Duke on Saturday. And then next Monday, God forbid us having the same conversation after a loss to the number 2 team in the country. Are they going to put them in? Would they put them in after a loss? I don't think so.
No, not unless
somebody else falls.
Not unless they blow Georgia Tech out of the water, and then they have like a last second 3-point chuck it up and it goes in and they lose. I mean, that's the only way. That's the only way the committee will look at that loss and say, well, that's still a quality loss.
It's just unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable. You beat Syracuse, you beat VT, you beat NC State, Georgia Tech tomorrow night, like I said, and you've won 6 in a row after starting all the way back to the Florida State win on January the 11th. You haven't lost a basketball game in dang near a month. January 7th at Louisville is the last time you lost a basketball game. Before that, guess what? Your last loss was December the 17th to South Carolina. So, Diesel, since December 17th, which is almost a good month and a half, you've had one loss.
Well, the committee,
that's ridiculous.
I think the committee is looking at that South Carolina loss with a huge microscope. And
maybe so.
Gamecock fans, there's not a whole lot to cheer about this season, but maybe you could look at that and say, well, we're the reason Clemson's not ranked inside the top 25 because we're so bad that the committee says that loss was so bad that even as good as Clemson has been, you don't deserve to be in. I mean, I'm looking at their KenPom numbers, Cole. It's not like the committee is just hating on Clemson. They're sitting at 27 in the KenPom too.
Which is crazy to me. To your point about the South Carolina loss, before we look at the rest of the games that happened this past weekend, it was not a good loss. Not a good loss at all for Clemson. I think that 2-game stretch, Diesel, them losing to Memphis, and then and I remember watching that game. That game was on a Saturday. It was super close. Clemson had them. I think Clemson led the majority of the game. Memphis came back at the end of one. The following, Tuesday, they lose to South Carolina. 2 back-to-back losses, though, to a really good Memphis team who's top 25. And then you talk about now a Memphis team a South Carolina team that's really bad. I'd have to agree. That's the only thing that I could point to. It's the only thing that makes sense. So we'll see. But I don't know. A week from today, you beat Georgia Tech, you lose to Duke, are you going to be in the top 25? I have no confidence. I have no faith unless something drastic happens, Diesel.
Compare that, Cole, to, you've got a 19-3 St. John's in the Big East, number 16 in the country. You've got a 20-3 St. Mary's out of the West Coast Conference, number 24 in the country.
Yeah.
And so you're really parsing words, the difference in those schedules there. I mean,
it's crazy. It's crazy. Now, over the weekend, we did talk about this on Friday, Diesel, Duke, North Carolina. You remember, you caught me off guard. I forgot this game was even happening this weekend. Turns out, not much to look at.
Well, North Carolina showed up for a second half, and that was it.
Second half, Duke covered the spread. They won by 17. To your point, North Carolina scored 45. They outscored Duke 45-40 in the second half. But in the first half, Duke outscored North Carolina 47-25. Cooper Flagg, 21 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. He was fantastic. I don't know, Diesel, where North Carolina is now. You're no longer – here's what's interesting. You're no longer the blue blood North Carolina that we all knew – just a short few years ago. But now you add on top of that, if you're North Carolina, you're not even competitive with your arch rival.
Well,
this is not good.
Look, I think that's a little, not a little, but that's way too harsh to try to remove their blue blood status. Like I understand they're having a terrible season, and I love to see it. But blue blood status is not something you can give or take away.
It's not
because of a bad season or two. No, because blue blood status is not based on how good you are right now. Blue blood status is based on how good you've been for the last 75 years. So you can't really take it away.
Well, here's the problem.
I think the only situation time I think you could ever possibly have taken blue blood status away is just pretending for a moment that SMU had been a dynasty before
the death
penalty, then you could say no longer a blue blood, because you know as well as I do, Cole, the expectation of the fan base hasn't changed. And if Hubert Davis isn't getting it done, they'll fire his ass and hire somebody else who will get it done.
So let me ask you,
they'll hire somebody away from another big-time institution.
To your point, let me ask you this question. If they don't make the tournament this year, it'll be 2 out of the last 4 years North Carolina hasn't even made the dance.
Yeah.
17.
They might not even be NIT bound.
17 was the last year they won a championship. So knowing that 17 was the last year they won a championship, if I am too harsh on my blue blood criticism, how long do they keep the blue blood term tag, if you will?
Keep it indefinitely.
Really?
Yeah, you keep it indefinitely because, look, it's the opposite of the dynasty conversation.
Yeah.
Where we say you have to win 3 out of 5 or 2 out of 5 or whatever you want to say. It doesn't go away. Like a dynasty goes away if you have a down couple of seasons.
See, I think
blue blood status doesn't go away.
I don't know. I disagree. I think if
is
North
UCLA still a blue blood?
I don't know that. Are they considered a blue blood to those now who watch college basketball?
It's a double-edged conversation because there have been programs that have been really, really good over the past 15 years or so who are knocking on that glass ceiling saying, come on, guys, let us in. We want to be blue bloods too.
Right.
The problem is you can't it's like having old money, right? It's like having, your 5 generations ago or 20 generations ago, great grandpa being a Vanderbilt. Even though the family fortune is gone, you're still a Vanderbilt. You're still a blue blood.
It's just wild, man. Like they're not supposed to be this bad. They're not supposed to be that. We're not used to this. And if there are any North Carolina fans in the audience, any North Carolina Tolos out there, let us know how you feel. How wrong am I to say that you're going to get your blue blood tag ripped away from you if you don't get your crap together? 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. Percy chimes in. Clemson beat Kentucky. Kentucky beat a few ranked teams. I know transitive property does not hold water per se, but they did beat Kentucky. That comes from Percy.
He's also the one who said that Clemson has only played one ranked team all season. That's the problem. I get your point there, Percy. They do have ranked Duke coming up on Saturday, and that is the only ranked team on their schedule for the rest of the year. I understand why Clemson is roughly in the 20s.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say it would be hard to move Clemson up into the top 10.
Sure.
That's an easy conversation to have there, Percy, because they haven't played ranked teams night in and night out.
They have not.
But we're having the discussion, why are they outside of the top 25? That's the discussion.
They should be top 25.
Their resume is a top 25 resume. It's not a top 10 or probably not even a top 15 resume because of the competition that they've played.
Texter from the 449 says, in sports, blue blood is a term used to describe the most elite college basketball and football programs. These programs are known for their history of success, large fan bases, and national recognition. Was that AI? It sounds like an AI. Doesn't it sound like a Wikipedia?
Stay out of our text messages, Siri.
That's exactly what it sounds like. Michael, he agrees with me.
Says you can lose it.
I think you can.
Fascinating.
Rip that freaking tag off, man. They're not any good anymore. Real quick breaking news before we get back to this weekend's college basketball. Diesel, thanks to my trusty handy-dandy ESPN app, breaking news out of the MLB, umpire Pat Hoberg fired for sharing betting accounts with a professional poker player and friend who bet on baseball. How about that?
Oh, some cheating going on.
An umpire in the MLB fired for, again, sharing betting accounts with a professional poker player and a friend who bet on baseball. That's intriguing.
Fascinating. Some more not so breaking news. We're just excited to tell you about it. Your chance, Tolos, to win a trip to Las Vegas, the slam dunk in Vegas from the FAN Upstate. Download the free Odyssey app, log in, and listen to the FAN Upstate for an hour a day to enter. You're Toloing. You're listening all day anyway, so that hour a day, that's nothing, man. That's easy to achieve. One lucky winner going to score round-trip airfare and accommodations for 4 in Las Vegas, plus $20,000 Could you imagine, Cole, the kind of damage you and I could do by going to Vegas, me, you, Michael, and T Swizzle with $5,000 a pop in our pockets?
Be bad.
It would be a great time. What are you talking about? You get to enjoy the first 2 rounds of the college basketball championships. You'll be staying at the Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, their premium sports viewing destination, and you get to visit the biggest March Madness hoops party at Stadium Swim. You were geeking out over this place earlier. I looked it up. It looks incredible. It's a massive swimming pool with a massive TV, and that's where you're going to be hanging out watching the first 2 rounds of the college basketball championships. Good luck in this national contest. Sign in, start streaming right now on the free Odyssey app.
Real quick, Clemson over the weekend, 68-58 over NC State. I did want to point out the biggest shocker for me over the weekend was a game that I was a little invested in between Florida, Tennessee. I told you on Friday that the game I was looking forward to the most was noon Saturday, Florida, Tennessee. First half was really good. Florida held their own, 24-21. Tennessee led at the half. And then in the second half, Tennessee blew Florida out 40-23, ended up winning 64-44. So the SEC, the top of the SEC, and that top 10 in college basketball, Diesel, you never know what can happen. It is a tight race. And I think that we've talked about this already, but when you talk about the SEC tournament coming up, it's going to be a lot of fun. Last thing, Texter says, Cole is wrong here. Known for history of success, not just 1 or 2 years. You don't have blue blood status taken away. Honestly, UCLA hasn't done much in recent years, but still history of success. So Texter agrees with Diesel there. And look, I know it's maybe that's another segment for another day that you and I can debate back and forth, Diesel, but should be a lot of fun.
When we come back, Cole, we have a fantastic guest joining us, Michael Duarte of NBC Los Angeles. Going to discuss the Luka and AD trade. Luka to the Lakers, AD to the Mavericks. That's coming up next on the Fan Upstate. You know, when big things go down in sports, Cole, we go right to the source. We talk to the absolute best. We are joined right now on the phone by Michael Duarte of NBC LA to discuss the landmark trade that just went down. Luka Doncic headed to the Lakers, Anthony Davis headed to Dallas. Michael, appreciate your time joining us as always. Before we get into the weeds on this trade, I want to get a sense of where you are as an NBA fan. Are you the old school guy that wants trades or wants teams to be built and improved via the draft? Or do you really love these gigantic headline grabbing trades that wouldn't have happened 40 years ago?
I agree, and I would say both. And you could argue, you know, for the Lakers, this might be the biggest trade since they were able to get Kareem Abdul-Jabbar from the Milwaukee Bucks. And you know, that was almost 40 years ago. So it's not like these are unprecedented in times. But let's be honest, and the reason why this is so shocking to everyone and why, you know, some people, I think even you, when you texted me, Cole, were saying this, you know, arguably is one of the biggest trades in NBA history. No, to me, this is the biggest trade in NBA history solely because it is the only time in NBA history 2 all NBA players were traded at the midseason deadline. 2 all NBA players. That's never happened before, and that's why we're all trying to still pick our jaws up off the floor here. And it's so funny because, you know, De'Aaron Fox just got traded for Zach LaVine. He went to join up with Wemby in San Antonio, and we're not even talking about that still. It is still all about Luka and Anthony Davis overshadowing that trade. Poor Jimmy Butler is probably in a cave somewhere wondering when he's getting traded. So this is one of those times when you see a franchise cornerstone player in the prime of his career at 25 years old, and a guy like Anthony Davis, who the Lakers have been building around, who they thought this torch that LeBron will eventually pass on when he retires was going to go to him. Both get traded, especially when it was all done, you know, originating at a coffee shop in Dallas. The secrecy, word never leaked out. This was all done in the shadows. Whereas a lot of other trade rumblings, we kind of know when a superstar is disgruntled or when a team wants to move on, and we get a little wind of it, and then it kind of comes out, and we get to talk about it. It's what we do in our business, Cole, sports talk fodder for days leading up to it. This was not that. This was as unpredictable as a game of rock, paper, scissors. And to go back to your original question, the answer is both. I like when teams can develop young talent, build through the draft, and then make big trades like this to add pieces to get them over the hump.
Michael Duarte, NBC LA. Michael, I have to ask you the question that is circulating the entire world right now when it comes to this trade. Very simple. Who won the trade?
That's a great question. And I'm always the guy that says you can't decide who won the trade until years have gone down the road. You know, everyone thought that the Lakers absolutely fleeced the Memphis Grizzlies when they got Pau Gasol, which ironically was right around 10 years ago or 20 years ago to the day when that happened. So, you know, you look at that, and then Marc Gasol was kind of a throw-in in that trade. Obviously, Marc Gasol goes on to be a multiple-time All-Star and a great player for Memphis and a cornerstone for that franchise for years. So you never really know. But one thing that we can say when we look at trades like this and try to break it down and digest it, and that is who got the best player overall. And to me, Luka Doncic is the best player overall in this trade, and it's the Lakers who got him, and they were looking to see who would be the next superstar for this franchise, a team that is so legendary in NBA history, you know, now behind the Celtics, won championship for most titles all time in the NBA, but this is a team that always has superstars seemingly every single decade, whether it was, you know, Wilt Chamberlain and Jerry West, going on to Kareem, to then Magic Johnson, to then Kobe and Shaq, to the LeBron James era. Now we have just ushered in the Luka Doncic era. And for Lakers fans, you know, it comes like a sunrise. It's extravagant. It's full of promise. But I can assure you, Cole, it's not without risk. Luka can be a free agent if he wants to. He cost him, well, he didn't cost himself, but the Dallas Mavericks cost him close to $115 million by trading him here. So now he's not eligible for that supermax contract by the team that drafted him in the Mavericks. So he can be a free agent after the 2026 NBA season if he wants to be, and he can go anywhere he wants. The Lakers need to make sure that they can extend him and keep him in purple and gold for a long time. And as we've been hearing now since this trade went down, since maybe the NBA Finals last year, and it's hard to believe when he had the finals run that he had, leading them to the championship. But Luka, there were questions around Luka Doncic's conditioning, around his defense, around the way he complained to the refs and could potentially sabotage his team at times. There's question there. So on the Lakers side, this is not without risk. And I think the Mavericks are looking at this in the microcosm of, we need to win here in the next 1 to 3 to 4 years with AD, Kyrie, Klay Thompson, PJ, all these guys around them, Lively, Gaffords, whereas the Lakers, they're going to try hopefully to make some more trades in the next couple of days to get a big man, to put some pieces and three-point shooting around LeBron and Luka. But I think this, because the Lakers were playing really well, winners of 8 of the last 10, basically 2 in the loss column, in the win column, behind the Nuggets for 4th in the West, playing better under J.J. Redick in years previous under Darvin Ham when they were always in that play-in discussion. So I would have liked to see them add pieces to the team with Anthony Davis and LeBron at the core and give it a run in the playoffs and see what would have happened. But this was a move for the next decade for the Lakers, for the future, not for right now, where I feel like it's right now for the Mavericks.
It's Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Our guest, Michael Duarte of NBC LA. Find him on Twitter at Michael J. Duarte. You talked about Luka's conditioning, and I wonder how much of Luka's constant absence over the past 6 to 8 weeks do you think can be attributed to his disgruntledness with being there in Dallas? I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if suddenly that calf gets a lot better and he's back out on the court very quickly because he wants to be out on the court. He maybe wasn't happy there in Dallas. What is your understanding right now of just how injured Luka's calf really is and when the Lakers will actually see him on the court?
Yeah, that's a great question, Cole. So I don't know if Luka was as disgruntled with Dallas as the Dallas Mavericks front office was disgruntled with him. And I say that because I think Luka has developed over the 6 years. He knows he is one of the greatest players on the planet. He knows his superstardom is global. He knows that he was the cornerstone of this franchise and they were always building around him. The move to bring in Kyrie was to bring him another star after they lost Jalen Brunson and Kristaps Porzingis over the last few years, trying to pair him with somebody to get him over the hump. So I don't think Luka saw this coming. I don't think he ever thought the Mavericks would trade him. I believe he in his mind thought he was untouchable and that he was going to probably sign that Supermax extension at the end of the year. I think this is more about the Dallas Mavericks front office, Nico Harrison, Jason Kidd. You know, Rick Carlisle was the coach of the Mavericks a few years ago. In Luka's early years, his formative years, he had a chance to sign an extension to stay in Dallas, and he turned it down. And that's something that at the time we really weren't sure. Okay, maybe he wanted to go back to the Midwest where he's now coaching the Pacers, but maybe he had some consternation around Luka Doncic as well. And we're seeing it more and more. And I'm going to answer your question, Cole, but what's interesting is there's a name that we all know and love, and it's coming up on the 5-year anniversary of his death just last week. And that's Kobe Bryant. And Kobe Bryant, believe it or not, has his fingerprints all over this trade. Not only is Rob Pelinka, the Lakers president and general manager of basketball operations, Kobe Bryant's agent and long-term friend and part of Kobe's inner circle, but so is Nico Harrison, who was the one who brought Kobe to Nike as he was an executive at Nike for 20 years. And also, if you look at Nico and Rob Pelinka, these guys are used to Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. Those guys had a killer instinct, a work ethic to be the greatest and the best that is second to none. Look at the LeBron James spending millions of dollars on his body, sleeping in oxygen chambers, anything it can to extend his career. My understanding is Luka Doncic doesn't do that. He's a great player. He's a great competitor. He likes to compete, but he doesn't have that killer instinct. He's not Kobe, MJ, LeBron in the work he puts in off the court. When the season ends, the kind of players who will take 3 days to celebrate the season, especially if you win a championship, and go right back to work in the gym the next day, working on their game, working on what can make them and elevate them to the next level. My understanding is Luka is not that kind of player, and maybe seeing that here, if you're Nico, that's why you decide to maybe move on from him and not invest, $350 million in a Supermax contract that you'd have to potentially give him at the end of this summer coming up. He would be eligible for that extension. So I think that plays into it a lot as well. I know that Luka Doncic has created a body team for himself recently, but it's all his own people. It's the Slovenian national basketball team strength coach. It's a physiotherapist and a nutritionist, all from Slovenia that he's paying for out of his own pocket. I think the Mavericks thought that would get Luka in better shape and conditioning, but they haven't seen it. And to your point, Cole, to kind of answer your original question, this is now, I think, his fourth calf injury in as many years. The second time it flared up on him this season. They believe he's overweight, and if he brought his weight down to 245 pounds, that those calf injuries wouldn't happen. But to answer your question, he has actually been ramping up on that calf injury. He's obviously rested it since Christmas, so we're now going into like the 6th week of it. I'm told he was ready to come back soon. My guess is the Lakers maybe slow play this and want to bring him back after the All-Star break because they're playing well right now and they're just a week away from the break. So my guess is we'll see him around then, which makes that February 25th home game for the Lakers against the Dallas Mavericks, potentially watching AD against his former team and Luke against his former team, now blockbuster Showtime, must-see TV. So I think we're going to see him soon. And the last thing I'll say is the hope would be all this talk about his conditioning, all this talk about Dallas not wanting to invest in him and moving on from him at 25 years old in his prime. I hope it motivates Luka now that he's here in Los Angeles. I hope he can learn from LeBron about how to be the face of a franchise and the guy. I hope being around players and the team that, Kobe played for 20 years can bring out another level to Luka we haven't seen yet.
Michael Duarte, NBCLA. I think the biggest question for me, Michael, is you talk about LeBron, a very ball-dominant type of player, even at his age. Luka, I've always said, man, is a not as athletic, but a very similar version to LeBron's play style. How do they both work? And then I guess the second part of that question is, for how long will they have to try to manage that?
Yeah, you nailed it. The biggest comp to LeBron James we've seen is Luka Doncic. These guys play at 250 pounds roughly. They're great athletes. They can play bully ball. They can get to the basket. They can shoot threes. LeBron's a much better defender, especially on those chase down blocks as a signature move than Luka is. But Luka's a better 3-point shooter, and that's kind of the way the game has changed and evolved and where it's heading. But to your point, yes, they're both two ball dominant guys, and I think AD and LeBron were two, they're like peanut butter and jelly going back to the old Dwayne Wade days, which I'm going to bring up here. Actually, it's a better combination. It fits better because they play different. They can run that pick and roll that's unstoppable in the playoffs where, LeBron can throw the lob to AD, or if they don't double AD or they don't switch, LeBron can take it to the cup. It's just a better duo. But once the shock wears off for LeBron James that Anthony Davis is not his teammate anymore, that's obviously one of his best friends. I think the basketball mind, the basketball acumen that LeBron James has, he will start to look at how he and Luka can coexist together, how LeBron can play more off ball, let Luka be ball dominant, like you just mentioned. And that could actually help preserve LeBron's career a little bit, put a little bit less tread on those 40-year-old body and tires by not having to have the ball in his hands all the time. But especially when it comes to the fourth quarter, if you're a defense, and this Lakers team has figured out, and they put shooters around those guys, and they found a rim protector, which the Lakers need to go out and get right now because they have none by trading Anthony Davis away. Then it's tough as a defense. It's almost a nightmare. Like, who do you double? You can't double LeBron and Luka Doncic at the same time if you can get a 3-point shooter that can catch fire around them. So I think LeBron, once this wears off, will start to see how they can coexist. And to answer your question, Cole, the biggest comp would be when LeBron was in Miami playing with Dwayne Wade. Those were two ball-dominant guys. LeBron had to learn to play a little bit off ball with Dwayne Wade. It took some time, remember, that Miami Heat team the first year, the Threedles they called them with Chris Bosh, they were like 500 around the 50-game mark. So it took a while for them to get the chemistry and gel and figure it out. But once LeBron figured out what he could do with letting Dwayne Wade kind of be the ball-dominant guy and letting Dwayne Wade be more the facilitator, we saw the best version of the Miami Heat that went to 4 straight finals. And so they can figure it out. Luka's been playing with Kyrie the last year and a half, 2 years, which is also a ball-dominant guy. So when you were two superstars like this, you can figure it out. But yes, they are very similar in their style of play.
Michael, my last question here for you. Luka's father has been very vocal about being unhappy with the lack of transparency from Dallas here. You said it. It was all completely kept under wraps, which is so wild considering, we'll spend a week leading up to a potential trade with somebody like Jimmy Butler. Does this trade send any kind of a message to the league that ownership of teams don't really need player permission and public sentiment, even if they're going to move a superstar?
I think it does. I mean, this has been the era of the player empowerment movement. It all started, by the way, with LeBron James' decision to go to Miami. And that's kind of when this thing kicked off and started. And we've seen players demand trades, including Anthony Davis, who was a Clutch Sports client with Rich Paul and LeBron, demanding a trade out of New Orleans and then torpedoing every team that tried to get him so that he made sure he wound up with the Lakers and could team up with LeBron. And it's funny that you mentioned that, Cole, because I believe that is the trade that let Rob Pelinka know that this entire conversation, which has been going on since January 7th with Nico Harrison of the Dallas Mavericks, that it needed to be a tight circle. It needed to be quiet, kept under the shadows and the secrets, like you said, because if it got out, it could potentially not only tank the value, you could be dealing with fan backlash, like we're already seeing in Dallas with the fake memorials they've set up for Luka and the coffin they had out there and stuff. And so I think learning from that, knowing that you can have other players like the young Lakers core, like Lonzo Ball and Josh Hart, and the guys that got traded over to New Orleans in that deal, they were disgruntled because that thing carried on. It didn't get done at that deadline. It carried on to the offseason when that trade finally got pulled off. There's other examples. You can look at this Jimmy Butler example of how you don't want these things to play out. You don't want leaks. You don't want this to happen. Originally, I was told the Mavericks, when they were talking about this trade, they wanted Dalton Connect, 2 first-round picks, and Anthony Davis. Obviously, what actually ended up happening is Max Christie, Anthony Davis, and 1 first-round pick. So the Lakers were able to get better value out of this than what was originally offered on the negotiating table. And to me, it doesn't happen without the secrecy. So I understand the frustration from Luka Doncic's dad. He would have liked to have been told about this. I'm sure other teams in the NBA would have liked to know Luka was available and they could kind of create the best package for him. But in the Lakers case and the Mavericks case, it's 2 gentlemen who've known each other for 20 plus years. They trusted each other. They were able to do this in private. And I think you're right. It's not going to happen all the time because you don't have those relationships in the NBA by 2 guys making decisions like this. But I think, honestly, it's better when it comes like this because there's too much variables that can happen when word gets out early that can tank a deal like this or delay it or make it never happen at all.
Well, Michael, compare this to what we see in Major League Baseball, where players will just walk out of the dugout mid-game because they find out mid-game that they've been traded. So it's really incredible to see this thing kept so tight.
100%. And what I was told was the Lakers, why this timing, why it went down late Saturday night. The deal had been agreed to earlier Saturday day, but the Lakers were playing the Knicks at Madison Square Garden. Max Christie was in the starting lineup. Anthony Davis was not with the team. He was back home. But they wanted Max Christie to not be on a flight back to Los Angeles when he found out he was getting traded. And so it had to happen after the game and be announced, and it had to be kept tight up until that point so that they could avoid a player finding out with his teammates on the plane that he was no longer there. And they even did that. They even were able to execute that to perfection, even though a lot of people on the East Coast, Cole, were sleeping when this went down and woke up to the news. But it all went to plan for them. And I think this is the first domino to fall, not only of like other trades coming, but maybe now teams will realize if we can't get over the hump with the current superstar we have, instead of just investing the next 10 or 15 years and maybe spinning the tires or being in purgatory with them and then hitting the reset button. And what we've always seen is superstars get traded for draft picks or for young players coming up, never 2 kind of superstars in their prime, like we said. Maybe this will set a precedent. Maybe this is the first domino to fall, and we'll see more deals like this moving forward.
Michael, great stuff, man. As always, we really appreciate your time. For you to make time for us today, fantastic stuff. We'll talk to you soon.
You guys have a great show.
Michael Duarte, NBC LA Diesel, as you said, on top of it, right here in the upstate, Greenville, Spartanburg. When breaking news happens, man, we've got you covered.
I found his answer to that last question there fascinating. Are we going to enter an era where even superstars are traded without a week's worth of media buildup? So-and-so is disgruntled. Who are they going to go to? Are they going to go here, there, wherever? What's his value? Yada, yada, yada. It's exhausting, and I think it's something that turns a lot of would-be NBA fans off. Being told for a week that Jimmy Butler is a petulant child who won't play, who keeps getting suspended. And then this is just like, bam, you're gone. You were a Maverick today, you're a Laker tomorrow.
And you know what? As bad and boring as the NBA has been this season, thank God for this. Thank the Lord for this, Diesel, because it was slow. We weren't talking NBA. There was not much to talk about. But now all of a sudden with this blockbuster trade, man, absolutely just mind-boggling when you talk about this trade, what happened Saturday night. Still hard to process it. But we will process about 15 headlines. It's the Daily Wire's top stories in sports next. I wish every Monday could be like today, Diesel. Tons to talk about, tons to get to. 2 more hours of the show coming up from 5 to 7, so turn it on and leave it on. These are your daily wires. It's the headlines of what's going on in the sports world, as we just talked about. Blockbuster trade happening between Rob Pelinka and Nico Harrison in the wee hours of Saturday evening, trading Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis. Also in the NBA, the Sacramento Kings are finalizing a trade to send De'Aaron Fox to the San Antonio Spurs and acquire Chicago Bulls guard Zach LaVine as a part of a 3-team trade. Diesel, I feel bad for those guys.
Yeah, that would be huge news.
They're not even being talked about because of Luka and AD. But also huge news out of the NFL, man. This is not shocking, I don't want to say, but big news. Browns defensive end Myles Garrett has requested a trade out of Cleveland. We could probably do a short segment on that, but this is big for the sweepstakes because Myles Garrett, Diesel, can make a team a legitimate Super Bowl contender. That's how good he is.
Even the Panthers?
Oh, no. All right, let me backtrack on what he can make some teams. Don't get your hopes up.
You're telling me that Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney on either edge wouldn't be a nasty combo?
Myles Garrett would be a tremendous boost to the Carolina Panthers. There's no doubt.
You don't have to use that first round draft pick on an edge.
It'd be big. It'd be a big. I don't know if the Panthers will do it.
No.
Amid trade talks, Miami Heat star Jimmy Butler has communicated to the Golden State Warriors that he is not interested in signing a contract extension there. Sources told ESPN. Butler's position dims the chances of the deal coming together, but the situation remains fluid. In Henderson, Nevada, how about this, Diesel? Over the weekend, add to what was already a crazy enough sports weekend. Chip Kelly leaving OH.
Oh, no.
Oh, you had to that was too soon. Too soon for the Buckeye fans. Chip Kelly leaving Ohio State, Diesel, heading to the NFL to become Pete Carroll's offensive coordinator, working under Tom Brady. What do you think, Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly, Tom Brady?
Why blow up a good thing? God, you have a chance to become another dynasty. This is why, Cole, Northern teams will never be dynasties, because they can't hold it together. After an elite season happens, all the pieces scatter. They immediately run off to go catch their payday somewhere else. This is why Ohio State ain't built to be a dynasty.
You know, it was interesting hearing Chip Kelly in Ohio State. It didn't sound normal, and it was just kind of like my thoughts were it was a matter of time before Chip Kelly went somewhere else. I guess Chip just ultimately has a sight set on the NFL, right? It is strange, though. Right-hander Jack Flaherty and the Detroit Tigers agreed on a 2-year, $35 million contract, sources told ESPN on Sunday, reuniting one of the best remaining free agents and the team with which he resurrected his career last season. The deal, which is pending a physical, includes an opt-out after this year in which Detroit will pay Flaherty $25 million. A little news out of college football. Diesel, Alabama set to hire Ryan Grubb as their offensive coordinator. Grubb served as the OC under DeBoer at Washington in 22 and 23 and was set to join him in Alabama in the same role, but Grubb remained in the Seattle Seahawks organization. Now it's going to Roll Tide Bama. What do you think about that?
Hey, anytime you can build the alignment there, it's an improvement. Washington's offense was really good last year. So having that head coach OC alignment, I think that's great.
One more for you. Oklahoma head coach and former Clemson defensive coordinator Brent Venables will handle defensive play calling responsibilities for the Sooners in 2025. Maybe a little pressure getting to Brent Venables. He announced in a statement Saturday, assuming full control of the program's defense for the first time since he took over in 2021. Oklahoma has spent more than a month searching for their next DC since Zach Alley left for West Virginia. So Brent said, hey, I guess I'll do it, Diesel. But it seems like he should have been doing that all along, right?
I mean, that's what he was brought there for, right? His ability to coach defenses. Yeah, this is it's going to be interesting how he's able to handle the responsibility of doing both things. When we come back, Cole, on the other side of the break, it is time for Tolos to get out their phones and call us. 844 fan phone 844-326-3663. It's your opportunity to overreact to what you saw this weekend in the sports world or outside of it. Why not? We're open to anything here. Give us a call, get on hold, be ready to go on the other side of the break right here on the Fan Upstate. Tolo's a lot to talk about over this sports weekend. The question is, out of everything you saw, what's got you the most hot and bothered? This is your opportunity, Tolos, to react, overreact, as a matter of fact, no matter how crazy and outlandish it sounds. That's the whole point. Call us, 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. You can also text that very same number. If you had the old one in your phone, erase it, get rid of it. You just need 844-FAN phone. But call us up. Tell us what happening in sports this weekend has got your goat the most.
Yeah.
We'll get into ours, give you a chance to go ahead and get on the line, get into the queue, and we'll bring you on. Cole, what happened this weekend that has you out of your mind?
You said a minute ago going to break that they don't all have to be sports. So
not always.
I've got 3 sports ones.
Okay.
I've got 3 sports overreactions, but I also have one overreaction that is non-sports related, and I want to start with that. My first overreaction is something you and I were discussing during a commercial break earlier today. I don't know how many of you Tolos out there work for like a large corporation or a let's say medium to large size company. Some of you might be self-employed. I get that. I am as well in another venture. But look, Diesel, I think my first overreaction is when you do things that are like slap on the wrist. God, why do people do that kind of stuff? You should be called out for it. You should be called out for it on live radio. When you reply all to a company-wide email, you automatically, you sign up to be called out for it. It's so stupid. I hope they can hear me through the holes. If they can't hear me through the holes, I hope they hear Stone Man, Tim Snow, Jeremy, Rob Jones. Why do you reply all?
Naming names.
We don't need 98 people replying all, and we all know that you completed your training today. You reply to your manager. Why do you reply? My overreaction is those people, they do it. They should deserve to be called out for it.
The people who reply all to emails that everyone else doesn't need to know what you've replied to are the same kind of people that microwave broccoli in the break room. You just don't do it. You don't do it. If you're going to do that, you buy a little microwave and you put it in your office. You shut the door. You load up with a bunch of Febreze, enough to hide the scent of a dead body if you need to.
Yeah.
But I mean,
or just don't eat broccoli.
Well, there's come on, man. Some people like to eat healthy. I like it because it looks like a little bush. But no, people. Our managers send out training.
Yeah.
A training video that he said, when you've watched this video, reply to just me and confirm that you've watched this video. And then 10 people proceed to reply all. So that shows me right there.
You can't read.
You can't follow directions. You replied all when it specifically says, do not reply all. I think there should be some form of punishment for that, right? I think at the very least, those who understood the assignment and followed all the instructions should get like a free day off. Get an extra day of PTO.
Yes, I love that idea. The bad part is, like you said, I'm literally reading the email now. Kindly watch this video and confirm via email back to me individually when completed. How many people responded all? 1, 2, 3, 4 within the last hour. You idiots. Read that. We don't care. We you're goody two shoes. Come on. Do you think they know they're replying all?
Yeah, you have to when you get
or
an
do you
email.
Think they click the wrong button?
No. When you get an email, okay, let me find something that was a mass email here. Okay,
maybe you're doing it by mistake.
We use Gmail here as our company email. There's a little arrow. There's like a little backwards looking arrow. It's pointing to the left. It says reply. To click reply all, you have to click the little more ... menu and select reply all that's below the word reply.
Idiots. Idiots is what they are.
Cole,
that's a harsh word. No, it's not. They're idiots.
We need to take a microphone down the hallway and ask Stone Man what the hell he was thinking.
Well, that's why I'm yelling. Maybe they can hear me. I mean, I know it's 5 o'clock, so managers are gone by now anyways, but come on. All right, let's go to the phones for your overreaction. 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. Kane, what is your overreaction on this Overreaction Monday?
I have called to complain about people that complain about people replying all on emails.
Why?
I think it's a little ridiculous.
Oh,
because what are you doing right now?
We're complaining.
You are asking all of us to reply to all on the radio station to tell everybody
that's the
what
thing,
we're
Kane.
thinking.
We're asking people to reply all. This email asks people specifically not to reply all. And where are you calling us from? Are you in a Porta-John somewhere? Do you have us on speakerphone? Where are you?
Oh no, I'm in my house. It has really good acoustics.
It does. Can you sing us a
Hold on
song?
a second.
Can you sing us a song?
Hold on a second. Hello, my friend, we meet again. It's been a while. Where should we begin?
His song choice says a lot about Kane. Of course he sings Creed. God, where'd you find that, in the bargain bin at Walmart?
Oh no, I'm part of the Armada. Matter of fact, I'm the Armada elitist. So this is what we do.
So you're not so Kane, for those that reply all, you're okay with it.
I'm okay with them. I'd actually like to hang out with them because I know they know what they're doing. They know it gets to you.
I know, but follow instructions.
So what you're saying, Kane, is you're a troll and you want to hang out with other trolls. Is there a bridge that you guys like to gather at, or where do you have these hangouts?
Oh, we have meetings monthly.
Thanks, Kane.
Thanks for the call, man.
The call.
What is your overreaction, Tolos? A couple of texters, by the way, say switching a baseball field to pickleball courts, and you go out there, get some PP, and there's nobody out there. Michael, you know where I live. Well, I'm confused here. What is Michael saying?
So he's saying that I think he's saying a baseball field in Simpsonville is being converted to pickleball courts, and I understand, man.
What's your name?
See, that's the thing, Michael. Who's to blame for this? Is it that pickleball is getting popular and it needs a place to be played, or is it because baseball is losing its popularity and is taking up an awful lot of prime real estate in large parks when no one's really using the field?
So is Michael saying nobody's using the pickleball now?
I think that's what he's saying.
But pickleball is becoming like super popular. So I get it, but
I've never played it. I think we need to have a Tolo pickleball league.
Well, we can add that to our
Tolo Olympics.
Yeah. Wow, that was good. That's a good name. I have never played pickleball either. However, I do have friends that do play pickleball, but I don't know. JD, before we get to a few more text, phone callers get a little bit of priority on this show. JD wants to chime in, 844-326-3663. What's up, JD?
Gentlemen, thank you for taking my call. First of all, I felt like it was necessary for me to intervene and get you guys, before you get in trouble, talking about replying all with your employee.
It's too late. Our boss listens to this station in his office.
Is that who that is behind you on the stream right now, staring over your shoulder? He doesn't look very happy at the moment. How dare you talk about your coworkers this way?
Yeah. What is your overreaction, JD?
My overreaction, and I kind of wanted to get you guys' thoughts on this a little bit too. Is LeBron and Luka now the best duo in the NBA? I mean, we have Wemby and Fox. We got Kyrie and KD possibly, or AD possibly. Where does LeBron and Luka rank as duos right now?
Well, I think it's more of a, if you're gonna make a buddy cop show out of this, it would be more like Bronny in the bench, because Luka's ass is stuck on the bench, injured.
JD,
yeah, very true.
I would say, they're superstars. They're going to make it work. Okay, that's my first initial thought. But I would say that I have had thoughts all weekend. It's the same thing we talked about with Michael Duarte. And if you missed that interview, you can go back on the free Odyssey app and listen right now, AUDACY. They both play very similar style games. They're both on ball. They both want to control pace and tempo. They're going to make it work. But I do think it will take some time, JD, and that's why I said on Twitter, and I stand by it. I think Dallas in the immediate future, like in the right now, I think Dallas won the trade for right now. I think they're built to win now with AD and Kyrie, a good front and back court. But, long term from now, the Lakers are going to have the best player on the planet for the next, 8 to 10 years. So we shall see.
Right on. No, I appreciate your guys' opinion. And last overreaction is Brent Venables is definitely feeling the pressure because he's more of a defensive coordinator than a head coach, which is why he now wants to call the defense. Be blessed, not stressed.
Thanks, JD. Madcraft says Jabron Lames isn't capable of being a duo anymore. I like that. Jabron Lames. Cole, I'm going to throw one out there that I have brought up to this show many times, and every time I do, it's not a popular opinion, okay? It's not a popular opinion, but I don't care.
Yeah.
We need to have red light cameras in the state of South Carolina. They're not constitutional or whatever, because that's what everyone always says, unconstitutional. But, Cole, so many people run red lights around here now. We need to have cameras designed specifically to catch people who run red lights. Number one, I'm shocked that we don't have more fatalities on the road of people running red lights. But Cole, and I'm telling myself here a little bit, on my way to work today, I was like right on the 6 of a guy in front of me. The light had turned yellow, and I was like, I'm not getting stopped by this thing. So I got like halfway out into the intersection when it turned red. And I understand that's still legal because the light was yellow when I entered the intersection.
Correct.
2 car lengths behind me, another car blows through the light. Now, if I was pushing it, trying to get through this light, there ain't no way that dude got through the light. Scumbags like that need to be ticketed and make it an expensive ticket. Make it $100 ticket. We need to stop this running of red lights in the state of South Carolina. Start ticketing people, Cole. It's bad. It's really bad. I mean, like, there's going through the light when you see it turn yellow. But then there's the people who are like, they're not even close. They're not even close to going through that intersection when it's still yellow, blatantly running red lights. I'm going to start calling my congressman. I'm going to send an email or down to Governor Foghorn Leghorn, and we're going to get a control of this thing.
Do you want a co-host?
Do you run red lights a lot?
Do you want to do the show solo?
Are you admitting that you're a lawbreaker?
Do you want to lose me every day and have me ticketed and in jail for? Yeah,
your iPhone will tell you what time you're supposed to leave based on current traffic patterns, right?
Yes, I know all that, and that all sounds good, but I sneak into the intersections frequently.
What time?
Let me say that.
What time do you have to leave your house to get here on time? The time that you want to be here.
So most days I try to go home, shower, and change before I get here.
Like everybody knows, like this is my point of no return. I have to leave the house by this time.
By 2
o'clock.
No, if I want to be here on time, at 1:30 at the latest. 2. If traffic's good like it was today, I can get here in 35 minutes, but sometimes a normal day is 45 to 50. Now, I will say a lot of times I'm coming from other places, so, parts of Greenville or Spartanburg or wherever, so it just depends, but most days I want to go home, shower, change, and then come here, but usually I'd say 1:30 to 2 is the latest, absolutely latest.
Dewey texts in at 844-326-3663 and says it's a $450 fine for running red lights.
That's if you get caught.
That's the problem. Nobody's getting caught for this, ever. Like, I see cop cars all the time, just, on duty.
Yeah.
I don't ever see any cop car ever pulling anyone over for traffic issues. Never. I've reached out to like sheriff's departments and they've said, well, only a small number of cops are doing traffic enforcement. So if a cop is on a different beat, he ain't pulling you over if he sees you speeding or running a red light. He doesn't care about that. We need technology doing this. Cadillac says, I agree with Diesel. I dodge getting T-boned from light runners daily.
Sorry, Cadillac.
Another texter says
bad, though.
Another texter says I got caught. Oh, interesting, texter. It's wild that you admit that.
I would say my first sports overreaction, Diesel, is we've talked a lot about Luka and AD today in Dallas, and I put that interview with Michael Duarte on our Facebook page, a clip of it, and I forgot who. Ricky on Facebook replied back to it and said that Dallas set their franchise back. My first sports overreaction is Dallas shouldn't be getting the heat they're receiving for letting Luka go. Look, Luka is a franchise player, but if you know what your formula is to win and you believe in it and you stand by it, then do what it takes to get there. Dallas, Nico, they said they believe defense wins championships. They just got one of the best defensive players on the planet in Anthony Davis. So now you have Kyrie, AD, and Klay Thompson. Those three you can build around. I think this is a win-now team, and I would say my first sports overreaction is Dallas should not be getting the heat they're getting right now. They really shouldn't be.
Well, my overreaction is they should have traded Luka to New Orleans so him and Zion could sit there on the bench together like a bunch of tubby bench warmers.
Zion, oh my gosh, throwing shots at it's true though. It's true. He's not as bad as Zion.
Tell me if I'm wrong.
No, he's not as bad as Zion. Zion got fat. Luka's chubby, but Zion just got big, man. He got big.
You can call him the pudgy pear. How about that?
He really did. He got a little too fat. Texter says Greenville red light runners also jam up intersections. Can't turn right or left at busy intersections.
All the time.
You know, I admit my flaws. When I have flaws, I like to admit them.
This is crazy, though, Cole. And I have brought this topic up on the air at least 3 times over the past 5 years of being on these airwaves. This is the first time ever I haven't gotten almost universal hate for that. People will say, Diesel, mind your business. Diesel, leave me alone. Diesel, it's unconstitutional. Blah, 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 blah. This is the first time ever people are like, you know what? Yeah, this is a big problem. We got to fix this.
Like I said, I'll try to get better at it, but I will admit, like I say, man, I have some flaws, and I'll admit to them. I do run red light.
I get it. Sometimes, like if you think the light's going to stay yellow just a little longer than it is, and you make a mistake, that's one thing. It's the egregious light runners. Like when you see somebody run a red light or turn left on a red light, like they didn't catch, they were there too long. And then another car and another car behind them just go ahead and go, even though they know the car 2 cars ahead of them had a red light and couldn't turn. They just do it anyway because they know there's nobody to ticket them because traffic enforcement in the upstate is a damn joke.
I think for the most part, for me, it's not so much red lights. It's been yellow for a second lights. You see what I'm saying? Like they've been yellow, and I'm trying to push the envelope a little bit. Like, is it bad? Tell me. And Tolos might hate me. You might hate me, but it's okay. If you're approaching a light, it turns yellow. You still got a little ways to go. You floor it. You get through. You may or may not look up and see it turn red. Is that egregious?
Yeah, because you floored it because you knew you weren't going to make it.
Correct. And is it egregious that if you do it 2 times in a row, you feel really good about it? Is that bad? Is that a bad habit that I have? I'll try to be better. I really will. But I will admit sometimes I do get a little lead foot. Last overreaction. Clemson basketball, man, they're not only being snubbed for top 25. My last overreaction is they're a top 10 team. Top 10. Top 10. Look, it's ridiculous that they're not in the top 25. They should be 19, 20. I think they're better than people think they are. I think they're coming together at the right time. My last sports overreaction is I'd say they're the 10th best team in the country right now. I think they could go toe-to-toe with just about everybody from 8 to 25, if not beat half of them. I really do.
That's
bold,
strong.
Cotton.
That is bold, my friend.
But that's overreaction, man.
That's true. My last one for you, Cole, is simple. Lamont Paris has no choice but to clean house with his assistants. Like, he may have faith in his assistants, but fans don't. 0-9 is completely unacceptable. And leaving a staff in place that to this point in conference play is 0-9 is a clear statement that last place in the SEC is okay at South Carolina.
It's not good.
It's not good.
You know Owen?
Owen?
0-9?
0-9?
Sorry, Lamont. Sorry.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Diesel. I have a question for you, Tolos in the upstate, Spartanburg, Greenville, wherever you may be listening. I want to do a segment coming up next called Neutralized by NIL. Which coaches, in your mind, have been neutralized in any sport, basketball, baseball, not so much, football, basketball, the main two. Which coaches in your mind have been neutralized by NIL? We'll talk about it. I have a few for you. See if you agree or disagree next. Neutralized by name, image, and likeness. Neutralized by NIL. Who do you have for us, Tolos? Let us know. Tolo, what's that stand for? Turn on, leave on. That's what we ask you to do every single day right here on the Fan Upstate. We've had a ton of reaction to that. I mean, good interaction, Diesel, on the text line as well as the stream today. Tolo's fired up after that that busy sports weekend. But that's the question for you to answer in this segment. That's the question for you to reply all to, as Kane said, as we want your feedback. Which coaches, college football, college basketball, have been neutralized by NIL? Diesel, does that question make sense of what I'm asking?
Yeah, coaches who had it made in the shade back in the day, back before NIL became a thing.
Yeah.
Back before everyone could publicly pay players. Now, you may say some of these guys were never paying players. They were never cheating at my school. No. But somehow when NIL happened, these guys just tanked, fell off.
It just kind of became what? Neutralized.
Just another coach.
Just another coach. It's interesting. I think there are some really good choices, some really good candidates here, Diesel. I have two college basketball coaches who I think have been neutralized by NIL. I want to add some college football coaches to the list. So, Diesel, Tolos, help us build a list. I have two coaches. Let's add to it. My first coach that I think has been neutralized by NIL. I hate to do this because he just won a big game on Saturday at his old school, but John Calipari. Diesel, I think John Calipari has been neutralized by NIL. I know he took Arkansas on the road, got booed at Kentucky, but he won the game. It was a really good effort by Arkansas. I just feel as if NIL has hurt teams like Kentucky, who are that blue blood, maybe that North Carolina, and John Calipari was a victim of it. But I will say, even though I think John Calipari has been neutralized by NIL, this might sound crazy, Diesel, but I think he made the right move. I think he made the right decision to get a fresh start in a Tyson chicken heavy laden NIL market, right? Where Tyson chicken and other big NIL deals come into play at Arkansas. I think he made the right step to get out of the segment that I'm labeling neutralized by NIL. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I like it, but Coach Cal and Kentucky have always made their living on the one and dones, right? And we used to hate it when he would get all these one and done players. And I still dislike one and done in college basketball. I feel like they should at least have to play 2 years of college basketball before going off into the NBA, Cole, because there's a reason why college basketball doesn't have the stars that it once had.
Sure.
Because you can't get to know a star if you're only really paying attention to 2 weeks worth of basketball. I mean, the game has turned into a tournament sport, and then most people don't pay attention to the first 20 games of the season anyway. And then you're expecting people to get to know and to fall in love with basketball stars in a very short period of time. And it's not feasible. Like, you could get to know them as freshmen and say, wow, that kid was incredible as a freshman. I can't wait to see what he does in his sophomore year. After that, he goes off into the NBA. That's great. But that's not what it is.
In a normal year, to your point about one and done, Diesel, in a normal season, one and done stinks. I'll tell you where it even stinks a little bit more is in a season like right now. When you have a guy like Cooper Flagg dominating as a freshman, one and done stinks now more than it ever has, because you're just thinking, man, what if we could see this guy for 2 years? I'm not saying that Cooper Flagg's the only great freshman we've ever seen, but when you have these sensational athletes take over and dominate as a freshman, it makes you think, man, I just wish this guy could stick around one more year. He's not going to. He's going to go be the number one pick in the NBA draft, most likely. But I do agree with you on the one and dones.
Imagine Duke with a second year with Zion. Duke with a second year at Cooper Flagg. Wouldn't it have been fantastic?
They might have more titles, Duke, because it's been a while since they've won one. We talked about North Carolina not winning one since 17. Maybe similar situation there. I'll let you go next, though. What coach do you think has been neutralized by NIL?
I think a good answer for that question is Brian Kelly. I think Brian Kelly has really been neutralized by NIL. He never really had everything that he needed at Notre Dame, but I guarantee you he had plenty, right? And he gets into a conference now where everyone he plays has probably a bigger budget or the same budget that he has at LSU for NIL, and he's just kind of middle of the pack in Baton Rouge.
It's true. I you know what? Brian Kelly is such a fascinating answer because he's not liked. I don't think he's liked by LSU fans.
That's true.
You know, and if you're think about it like this, if you are the head football coach at Louisiana State University in the era of NIL, Diesel, you should win every game. You should win every single preseason game, postseason game, spring game. You should never lose, ever. You're at LSU. You're in Louisiana. You're in Baton Rouge. Come on. There's no excuse. That's a great answer. I do like that. I wonder with Brian Kelly in his situation, is this the last straw because he has been neutralized?
Well, he's either going to go be a G5 head coach again or he'll be a Power 5 coordinator in a couple of years. I don't know that he sticks around at LSU. They're not going to they're not going to tolerate him being mediocre.
It's crazy though. It's crazy because he should be. I mean,
they ran Ed O out after a national title.
True. Yeah, hey, you win a national championship, you're not good enough. Which I still, not to go down a rabbit hole here, I think they regret that. I know there were some things that I think they regret that. I really do. I think that set the program back. You had Joe Brady, Orgeron.
It's hard with college football because I'm just going back 5 years to 2019, and almost every single one of these teams that's inside the top 10 have new head coaches from then. There's only a few, like Ryan Day at Ohio State, Dabo Swinney at Clemson, and I'm surprised that nobody's texted. Has anybody texted in yet?
No, I was going to bring that up, though, Diesel.
At Clemson. And then outside of that, you look at Kirby Smart, who I think is still very much on top of his game.
And Kane brought him up on the stream.
But LSU's got a new head coach. Oregon's got a new head coach from 2019. Baylor, Florida. I mean, there's so many of these big-time programs, they have new head coaches, so you really can't say that the new guys who have come in since then have been neutralized by NIL.
Texter from the, let's see, this is Michael. Michael texts in and says, Florida and Florida State football have been exposed with NIL / neutralized / neutered. Michael went with neutered. Interesting choice of word there. Florida and Florida State let me ask you this question. Help me out here in terms of my memory. Florida's drop-off was before NIL, wasn't it? It wasn't like NIL came along in Florida. I mean, Florida hadn't been relevant since Urban Meyer.
Yeah, because after that you had McElwain, and then you had
the quarterback.
Boomer, Coach Boom.
And then you had, what's his name that went to the broadcast booth?
Tim Tebow.
No. That's doing like App State games and Coastal games. Who am I thinking of? The coach that didn't Florida have? Didn't he do? Help me out, Tolos. Who am I thinking about?
Yeah, who are you thinking of?
Somebody will help.
Is Billy Napier already in the broadcast booth?
No.
Jeez.
No.
Because it was Billy Napier, Greg Knox, temporary. Dan Mullen.
Dan Mullen's who I was thinking of. Yes.
Now you want to talk about a program that is probably regretting a decision.
100%.
Florida ought to be regretting getting rid of Dan Mullen because Dan Mullen in the NIL era, we're about to see it because he took the job at UNLV, I think.
Oh, yes, right.
That could be special. That could be God, man. It's I didn't realize that Urban Meyer left Florida in 2010. That's been 14 seasons ago.
So that was pre-NIL.
Yeah, you got 3 seasons of Muschamp, 3 seasons of Jim McElwain. And by the way, Muschamp went 49 and 28. Not bad.
But Mullen was good.
McElwain was 34 and 22. So Muschamp, okay, this is an easier way to put it. Urban Meyer won 81% of his games. Will Muschamp won 57% of his games.
Yep.
Jim McElwain won 64% of his games. Dan Mullen won 69% of his games. So they had a steady increase after going Muschamp, McElwain, Mullen, they realize they don't have to hire guys with the last name starts with letter M. Billy Napier, on the other hand, 50% of his games.
I've got one more for you before we run to a break. And any Tolos that want to get in, you can. 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. I'm going to go back to college basketball here. Tell me if I am right or wrong. Do you agree or disagree? Hubert Davis, we talked about him earlier.
Oh,
even talked about him on Friday.
Great choice.
He's just, Diesel, when Hubert Davis was hired at North Carolina, I said, oh my word, what a fantastic hire.
They're going to win titles.
They're going to win titles. That was a fantastic hire by North Carolina. And boy, have I looked, because I said this earlier in the show, and in case you missed it, I'll repeat it here. If they missed a tournament, it'll be 2 out of the last 4. 2 out of 4 they've missed. That's no bueno.
If the March Madness selection committee puts this North Carolina team into the tournament just because of their brand power, shut the whole thing down.
That's what I'm saying.
Put it all in a cardboard box, leave it out on the stoop, let somebody come pick up their stuff in their own time, because you'll know unequivocally, without a doubt, that this thing is rigged to keep the big brands in the tournament.
Hubert Davis
and make money.
He is 54 years old, born in 1970.
Dude could have another 10 years of this, or more.
Absolutely. But North Carolina has missed and missed and missed, and they're just, for whatever reason, when you talk about like pro organizations, let's take for example an NFL football team, Diesel. They have a director of player personnel, right, who evaluates talent. They have scouts. They have guys that they, allow to sit in the room and do nothing but evaluate talent. Who is responsible for evaluating talent at North Carolina for the basketball program? Because they just have missed on evaluating talent. Talent evaluation has been the demise of the program. RJ Davis seems like he's done this instead of this. And for those not watching him, decline instead of, improving. I don't know, but I hate it for Hubert Davis, but I think he has been neutralized by NIL.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating what North Carolina does going forward. I mean, Hubert Davis had been an assistant under Roy Williams. It feels like you're hiring from within. You're hiring a guy with a big name, and he felt like the right guy, right? And then it just has failed miserably. So where do they go? Do they go back to the well? Does North Carolina want to get high on their own supply again and hire somebody who has been at North Carolina before as an assistant, as a player, or whatever? Or do they really open up the checkbooks? Because we know that school is going to be willing to do it. That fan base is going to be willing to go after a big name head coach.
Who's an ex-NBA guy they can go after, since they went after an ex-NFL guy for their football program, right?
Yeah,
Texter
Popovich. Hire Pop. Could you imagine
99-year-old
Could you
Greg
imagine having
Popovich?
Popovich and Belichick on campus at the same time?
Dear God.
Unbelievable.
Texter says Cole is pounding the wood like Gruden. LOL. I appreciate the enthusiasm. Was I banging on the table like that? I was a little passionate there.
When we come back, Cole, speaking of Bill Belichick, and I'm glad you brought up his name, Bill Belichick is bribing North Carolina frat boys to pay attention to the football program. Is this a good idea, or is it kind of weird and creepy? We'll talk about it next. So, Cole, we know that North Carolina football doesn't exactly have the strongest of fan bases. You know, they tend to lose a couple of games early in the season, and they say, all right, when's basketball season? Like, they're already checked out. Football is kind of the thing that you do to get yourself to basketball season at North Carolina. It's just the way that it is. They've had seasons where they pop up and they're okay, but and their fan support is pretty good. But then when they have a rough couple of games, the fans just stop showing up, and Kenan Stadium is empty. It's like a desert out there. So I wonder, Cole, if this is a good idea or not. Bill Belichick is attempting to bribe or buy fan support from the fraternities on campus there in Chapel Hill by sending out a whole bunch of pizzas to be consumed during this past Saturday's Duke North Carolina game. And the question is, like, why? Why is that a viable strategy to try to get, like, throwing pizza parties to try to get students to show up to your game? Or is it a little bit pathetic that that's what you have to do?
Now, he was trying to get them to show up to the basketball game?
No. He was saying, because the game was at Duke, by the way. This past Saturday game was at Duke.
Okay.
He said, hey, guys, hang out, like, throw a party at your frat house.
Yeah.
I'm going to send you a whole bunch of pizzas for y'all to eat while you're watching the game on Saturday. And I really want you to come out and watch football games this season.
Oh,
like, I mean, Bill's stupid rich. So buying a couple, I mean, there's lots of fraternities on campus, couple hundred pizzas to him, a couple hundred pizzas, probably nothing. I mean, heck, he probably didn't even pay for them. It's probably some sort of like endorsement deal with Papa John's.
You know what? I think it's weird. Number one. Number two, I think it does instill a little bit of goodwill because, you know, he is like 119 years old. And you will see if the North Carolina fan base relates to him. I mean, if they get excited for it.
Well, here's the thing, Cole. If Bill had said, hey, there's 20 fraternities on campus.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to buy pizzas for all of them. And I'm going to show up and deliver the pizzas myself to one of the houses. And I'm going to hang out with you and watch the game.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Or if he does, like, hey, I'm going to be at the I don't even know fraternities anymore, Kappa Sig house for the first half, and I'm going to go down to the, you know, Kappa Delta house. That's a sorority, but you know what I'm saying. I'm going to go down the street to another house. I'm going to pick two houses, one for the first half, one for the second half. I think that's awesome. And it's sort of a, hey, you're going to get free pizza, and there's a good chance I'm going to be at your house hanging out watching the game.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. But otherwise, I think it's kind of lazy to just throw money at it and see if you can
that's
buy.
North Carolina.
Yeah, I know. It's what they do. I just want to know. I just want to know
at it.
if the cheese pizzas came with a bottle of wine too, since it is a very wine and cheese crowd.
Mm-hmm. Kane says he's hanging out with the sorority instead of the fraternity.
I mean,
his girlfriend is in the sorority.
Maybe that's what he should have done. Maybe Bill should have gone to the sorority houses and Bill's girlfriend should have gone to the frat houses.
That's what a texter from the 803 Cole Bill being 119 years old and still slinging that. I'm not reading that. I'm not reading that.
Do you think 119-year-old Bill Belichick would have landed this 24-year-old hottie if he wasn't Bill Belichick? It's like those pictures you see of Al Davis.
Yeah.
Now, like, there's the memes of him saying that he is dating some like 19-year-old girl and she had no idea that he was rich.
I mean, rich. Yeah, you're right.
It's not Al Davis.
No, it is.
It's Al Davis Jr.
It's
I think, right?
the Raiders guy, right?
Yeah.
It is the Raiders guy.
And they said Mark Davis. Mark Davis, not Al. Yeah, they're like, Mark Davis, as weird as he looks like a thumb with a bowl cut.
He does look weird.
He's dating some like 20-year-old supermodel, and she had no idea that he was the owner of a team. She just thought he had a great smile.
Michael says, dude, that's viable only if his girlfriend delivers them. That would have made sense. Let the girlfriend deliver them to the fraternity. Tolo Steve, I want to know if it was part of Bill's deal was getting his girlfriend free tuition. at North Carolina.
I think she's already graduated, right? Didn't they connect on a flight where he like corrected her homework for her? Isn't that how they met?
That's what they call it now.
Correcting her homework.
I don't know.
It's no longer
look,
the Mile High Club.
It's throwing goodwill out there. Let's not be so harsh on Papa
This is us
Bill.
poo-pooing anything anyone tries to do. But
At the wine and cheese college.
Yeah. He should have sent a bottle of Chardonnay and a charcuterie board.
It shouldn't surprise you though. This is North Carolina to the T. This is what they do.
On brand, as they say.
Oh, yeah. No one's surprised. All right. We were surprised, however, by a blockbuster NBA trade that happened over the weekend. We'll get into that coming up. Final hour of the show. Turn it on, leave it on right here on the Fan Upstate.